The following video is about Steam and Stop Killing Games. And very importantly, games that don't actually require Steam, but since they're sold through Steam, to authenticate them so you didn't steal them, they use Steam for authentication. Until Steam drops them from the store, and then the game is supposed to just be invalid. It's supposed to lose its licensing. So we're going to talk about a creator who went under the name Steam006 because 007 was taken. Creator of many a Steam emulator that would make primarily two purposes. One, aforementioned games that have been removed from the Steam store, make them work. Specifically Rust Legacy, it's the most common thing he built for. Might be surprised what it was for. And the other purpose is to make it to where you can play a game offline, just single player, if it came with that ability, and play it multiplayer, but not truly, off of a server with thousands of players like you normally do with Rust. This other mode was for a LAN party where you hook up a local area network, really local, and everybody plugs into it, but you don't connect to the internet because that way nobody can load up any hacks or other problems. Well, there's a need for, and at one time was provided in many of the games, not all of them obviously anymore, the ability to just disable Steam. It would start it up once, and then you'd have an offline mode. In fact, Steam includes offline mode behavior. You run Steam, it says, I'm offline, and it keeps stored certificates for a period of a month or whatever, and then you can go to your LAN game. They did their best to accommodate for this at one time. I don't know if they do it anymore. Steam006 was at freeforums.org under the subdomain s006.freeforums.org. This lasted from 2010 early to 2011 late. And then after that, he closed it to where you had to log in and be a member of the group. And then in 2014 early, the administrators there banned him. He did many Steam emulators and bypasses for these purposes. And yes, they can be used to steal a game, but you always get caught, you always get kick banned. So, no point in doing it, don't even bother. I mean, yes, you can use it for that, and I understand that, but its main use, as you might have hinted, me working on older versions of Rust Legacy from 2013, 14, 15, and 2016, the last year it was available, right up till Christmas, but just before Christmas taken down. He comes up with a unusual thing. I tried to find out just one thing. Why is the Steam emulator, the EMU, called Luma? I still don't know, and this is a request for comment, request for information, RFI, Steam client emulation using a static SteamID assigned for lumaEmu, REVEmu, SmartSteamEmu, etc. So you could have a local LAN server browser or other enablings for various games, including this one. 2010's greenluma version 2 was mentioned at a webpage I have an archive for that ends in 9ZF. 2013 greenluma 2.7, which appears to be the last version that was considered stable and safe, is available on archive.org under greenluma and under GitHub. The 2013 lumaEmu 1.4 and 2016 lumaEmu 1.97, not quite version 2 that he put out, is only available, being mentioned, or even kind of available, in a 2018 mid-year post on csmania.ru. Dodgy as hell. All the games you download from rustlegacy.eu and virtually every other mod comes with this particular Steam emulator because the game itself is designed not to really require Steam. The Steam add-on, the dependency, is tacked on just to make sure it was paid for. And now that we're past 2016, December 8th, we're no longer allowed to buy it and play it. So I can't play it except by using this to bypass it. This is not a tutorial on how to crack or hack it. Now, the CSMania one is the only one I can find, and it contains some extra files. It contains Luma Game Launcher 64-bit and 32-bit, and also they're also in executable format, like you'd understand where you double-click, and a DLL, which can act as a plugin for the game if it goes looking for it. We'll bring up more on that later. It has steamclient.dll, the modified version that allows for offline usage in the game, even though it's normally online only. It allows it to be launched offline, and then when you connect, instead of it asking Steam for permission to connect to official servers, you can't, so it just lets you connect from person to person if they're running a server, or to a server you can get the IP address for. And that's how the game is run these days. There's a Steam app ID code, which is where you put in the ID code that Steam would normally go grab, so it says, oh, I've already grabbed it, because it would save it there. So it's just using the cached version. And LumaAppID code as a text file that seems to be something you're supposed to read and alter, but there's very few, if any, instructions. In fact, I can't find any good ones. One last one is the infamous lumaEmu.ini, which is only under the 64-bit DLL or executable versions. And that seems to be the one that's most commonly found with Rust legacy games. Now, a point of interest here. The executable or the DLL can have the DLL and exe extensions swapped and technically work as well. In most cases, I've seen that with these game emulators. Sometimes they're smaller or larger because they can remove a couple extra features. And some of these are stubs you put in front of the game so that when you launch the game, it launches this EMU beforehand. Or there'll be a stub, a smaller one, put into the standard Steam client DLL or Steam programs to make it launch with certain parameters set, so it assumes, let's test to see if the game is supposed to be able to operate offline before we bother with going to Steam. Now, obviously, that would be used for maybe stealing a game or just disabling a bunch of telemetry because you don't want to lose privacy. But the main reason it got used was if people wanted to have completely isolated LAN parties where all the computers were built exactly the same and not be able to have hacks run from some sort of relocation to some website. And the second reason is games that were intended to be able to operate without Steam in the first place, which is how you build a game in the first place, and then you would enable it. And instead of it needing for you to check each day or maybe let it online to access the Steam website once a month or whatever, it would just perpetually just use the last code that you got that was good. That's the main purpose of these things. Now, these require Visual C++ and Visual Studio from 2013 and up, depending on the year they came out, because they would be rebuilt with the newer versions to take advantage of some features, test to see if it's actually really an improvement, that sort of thing. And on GitHub, you can look up references to Steam006, the author, through Google by doing a specific type site search of GitHub and various other websites. It should be noted that freeforums.org's web pages on all of this are simply missing. And unfortunately, this was where you would download these add-ons and hacks that aren't available anymore. I mean, I found an archive link to a couple of them, but I'm not sure if I should they're from the author, but again, the author's writing these bypasses. So I just wanted to bring up that SmartSteam, Blue-Green lumaEmu mods, and iSteam, and AVS and all of these other products were created by apparently just the same person. I'll have archive.is links, or pseudo links, you have to cut and paste them to run them, that link to the pages that we have that show what this person was up to. Now again, this was mostly from 2010 to 2011, but involved files being created from 2010 to 2013 at minimum, and 2016 at the extreme, and these are being used currently in 2025 to make almost all of the Rust legacy games work, and most of them don't say the author was Steam006 or where it came from, or have instructions of how to reapply it. If the thing breaks and you can't find a replacement file, you can't fix it. So I thought I'd provide this video as a background information for those who are looking. And if you have any more information, please post it below, and I'll either make a new updated video or I'll just pin the comment if I can. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. We'll all need it.